unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. British former champion George Groves comments on the Tyson Fury Glovegate controversy that's currently surfaced on the internet. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. It does help the channel. You can also bundle ESPN Plus with Disney Plus and Hulu. $12.99 for all three apps. I personally have all three. Let's get it. Now, George Groves, he recently did an interview with After the Bell, and he talks about the internet has gone crazy. A lot of people have talked about Tyson Fury's glove and says something looked odd. Glovegate is, now among us. A lot of the videos sparked from YouTuber Young Pharaoh, and this is what George Groves had to say. Quote, "You can't dispute that the glove isn't on properly. They've broken it down frame by frame, and the glove isn't on properly. The guy says it's being done on purpose and that he's hitting Wilder with a bare fist, but the footage is from the first fight, so you can't say that was the difference in the second fight." Right? Said the referee should have spotted Fury's glove was coming off during the Wilder fight and had him fix it. That apparently didn't happen. It's unknown why Fury didn't have his glove fixed during the fight. So that is his left fist. Wasn't down by the lacing area where his wrist would normally be. Right? Then Groves goes on to say, the guy says it's being done on purpose and that he's hitting Wilder with a bare fist, but the footage is from the first fight, so you can't say that was the difference in the second fight. Fury has that kind of style where he flicks his shots, so it is bizarre. For me, it would be of benefit. It wouldn't be of benefit because you're much more likely to do damage to your hands and wrists. Right? He said if you don't punch properly to start with, he doesn't actually sit on his shots. He doesn't throw the right hand like Deontay Wilder. Sometimes they are palm facing and have a slap effect. Okay, so that's from George Groves. But my thing is this. First of all, George Groves, he's off with this because he keeps saying, oh yeah, that happened in the first fight. That happened in the first fight. So it doesn't explain the second. Second of all, well, first of all, let me start here. First of all, the glove issue has been documented in both fights from Wilder, how it looks like his hand is almost ajar and like loose in the glove. So that's one issue. But beyond that, to continuously say, oh, that was the first fight, that was the first fight. So you haven't actually explained why his glove looked like it was on wrong in the first fight. So we're not just going to skip past the glove being, ajar in the first fight and possible cheating to say, oh, that didn't happen in the second fight, because the Fury fans, let them tell it. They say Tyson Fury won the first fight too, So before we even get to the second fight, you can't say, okay, someone fought twice and hey, they got over on you, but that was the first fight, because the reality is it's supposed to be on an even playing field to begin with, because you have to look at it like this. If there was something, if there was something underhanded done, then there would be no second fight, potentially, if that helped aid you in your ability to perform or land some shots or whatever the case was. So George Groves is like hastily trying to skip past the first fight But the first fight is what prompted the second fight. So had there not been the first fight, then, or had there not been success, I guess you could say, in the first fight to the point where it's competitive and people wanted to see it in AKA controversy, then there wouldn't have been a second fight. So if something malicious is done, you can't just keep saying, oh, didn't that happen in the first fight? That was the first fight, because the first fight is what led to the second fight, and cheating is cheating. If you had a trilogy with someone and let's say Margarito had the plaster, oh, that was the first Cotto fight. Yeah, but the first Cotto fight was what led to the second Cotto fight. You see what I'm saying? So that's a horrible point. And it seems like people are so willing to, especially like the UK, it seems like they want to have this compatriotism where, they don't really go against other UK fighters, even if it looks fishy, even if it's something to be explored, And he's saying that, like, oh, I don't know if it'd be a benefit to him. That would damage your wrist. The bottom line is, if this is me, I don't know. I don't know what Fury did, but it looks sus and it needs to be investigated. I'm going to keep saying the same thing. My thing is this. If something underhanded was done to manipulate the glove, then, of course, it's an advantage because you wouldn't do it. So he's talking about, oh, you would break your wrist. But if you're training or your intent is to get over on somebody and catch them off guard with a little subtle, dirty tactic, then it's not about breaking a wrist. Plus, Tyson Fury comes from a bare knuckle family, so he might want. And he's a big man, 6'9", and he weighs almost 300 pounds. So I don't understand this argument. It's like George Groves admits that the glove was improperly placed on Tyson Fury's hand, and the ref should have seen it, or the corner should have seen it, but conveniently nobody's seen it. And then he's trying to skip past the first fight and say, oh, it doesn't explain the second fight, which is false, because the second fight, there's pictures and the dialogue is the same. People are saying his glove looked floppy in the second fight. They're saying his bending and stuff in the second fight. So it looks apparent that the glove looks finicky, at least one of them, in both fights. So that's that. But then the other thing is this, is if there was no first fight and it was no competitive fight, and if someone cheated in the first fight, that's what spawned and prompted the second fight. So this really is making its waves on the internet, and I don't think we've heard the last of it. I think this is definitely heating up, and people are like, their eyes and ears are open, the antennas are open. The good thing about this is it's just talk and it's just dialogue, and with so many eyes on this controversial type of subject, it just makes it better, because now if they go into the trilogy, it's going to be all eyes on the gloves. From Wilder's side, Wilder has his team has been notified and seen the videos and these types of things. So, and Tyson Fury's team as well, because I seen Stitch Duran, who was the cut man for Fury for this particular fight. He commented on it. George Groves commented. So this is making world boxing news, and it just puts spotlight. So I ain't worried about it. If something underhand was done in the dark comes to light. I believe in karma. And like I said, good luck trying to pull the fast one over again on Wilder with this touch. It's the spot's too hot. The spot is entirely too hot. But I think George Groves, his argument is rather weak. He's talking about it doesn't explain the second fight, but the pictures and the suspicious looking gloves, so to speak, were apparent in both Wilder fights. Not the other Tyson Fury fights, but his biggest recent fights with Wilder. So that's one thing. And then beyond that, so you're admitting that the glove was on improperly, and you're saying, oh, but that was the first fight. So he's allowed to cheat in the first fight, potentially, because that was the first fight. That's not how it works. Because again, if there was something, like I said, malicious, outside of the rules of boxing, that was done to manipulate and tamper with the glove or the way the glove was worn, then that draws serious repercussions, or it should draw serious repercussions. And, that could have definitely put it this way. It definitely could have affected the fight, because if it didn't have any effect of the fight, then why would someone cheat? You see what I'm saying? That's like me doing a bodybuilding contest and then I'm on steroids and I get busted and I'm like, man, I didn't even need the steroids. I didn't even need the steroids for this competition. If you didn't need the steroids, then why would you take it? You see what I'm saying? So obviously, if the gloves were tampered with, there was a reason. So George Groves saying stuff like, I don't see how this would benefit him. If you're trying to get one over on your opponent and you concoct some, method of, having a sneak attack or tampered gloves or whatever, then you're prepared for it. You're prepared for throwing your punches subtly different. Yeah, so in the technical sense, most of the time you would want to protect your hands and your wrists. But again, if you're trying to do something, foul play, then you're going to move different and you're going to move with a different intent. It's common sense. So I don't understand what George Groves is saying. It makes no sense. People are playing dumb. And the other thing is this: Tyson Fury has failed 2 drug tests with different drugs, cocaine in his system. And he also had a diuretic or steroid in his system before. You guys could look this up. He's talked about Klitschko as a, Satanist. And he said a lot of, I'm not going to sit up here and go down. It's a grown man dressed up like Batman, erratic behavior, crazy, extreme thoughts that he's revealed and stuff like that. Formerly on drugs, says he's going to get on drugs and get hookers after he wins the WBC, right? And people somehow, some way have such a hard time even remotely believing that a white man with this background would possibly, I don't know. That's not for me to know everything right now. But it's mind-boggling that people would look at Tyson Fury's behavior, his jacket, and just assume that he's Mr. Rogers in a situation like this, when his glove clearly looks suspect. You know what I mean? Like, if you seen somebody who admitted to formerly being drugs and wanting to off themselves every Sunday and stuff, would you let them babysit your kids? You see what I'm saying? And the other thing is, this is in professional sports, nothing is doing too much. We've seen it all. We've seen Mike Tyson get frustrated, bite somebody's ear off, right? We've seen Antonio Margarito with the plaster. There's a lot of people, the people on TRT, testosterone, in the UFC and all types of stuff. We've seen it all in professional sports in general. Lance Armstrong. Listen, I look at it like this. If Lance Armstrong in the Tour de France and all these bicycle races is willing to take PEDs, then why would a professional fighter who's about to fight an undefeated knockout artist who has knocked out and hurt everybody, including the subject who is fighting him, to potentially jockey for position or find a way to get one over or, manipulate the padding, spread and redistribute the padding? I mean, how is that even remotely stopped? Boxing, of all sports, it's a dirty sport. We've seen it. We've seen fighters take a dive because the mafia, what I'm saying? We've seen everything in boxing. So I don't understand why people are acting like this is so shocking that this could even be considered, and that's what I'm saying. People like that who don't open their palate and they don't utilize their third eye to even receive the information, they're part of the problem. Because I haven't condemned Tyson Fury and said absolutely this is what it was, but we need answers. That's what I do know, because it doesn't look good. Some people are so quick they're not watching the video, they're not looking at the picture, they're not listening to the argument. They just say no, you blacks, you guys are just can't handle the loss and shit like that. We gonna see. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We working.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.